So we've got a lot of strikers in this list, and I'm going to try and whittle it down to the best possible positions of each rank. Now, I know in the, I think was it the midfielder or the left back, right back role, there was a couple of comments saying about basically trying to keep the S plus as tidy as possible. Now, that is difficult at times, and maybe, yes, there might have been a few that I could have dropped down. So I'm going to try that with the striker, even though there is a lot of top-end strikers. Now, there's arguments between kind of like 5th and 10th, but I think the first 3 are very, very simple to do. Now, obviously, there is a lot of S strikers as well, so we are looking predominantly at the higher end sort of strikers. So, for instance, if I was to go for somebody like Akade, for instance, now, I think he is absolutely phenomenal. But then the question is, if I go A+ for him, do I then go, well, I'd prefer Akade over Podolski. Does he go one down? Then I look at Aubameyang and think, okay, he's very similar. I might go A+. Then if I think Undav has been unbelievable in that S.
If you're looking for coins to improve your team, head over to lootbar.gg for the most reliable and also the best coins around. Also, they have incredible 24-hour manual customer service that you physically cannot find anywhere else. But before finishing on lootbar.gg, make sure you are using JT11 to get 8% off coupon. Once you've gone through the payment, you'll be able to get your coins within the next 24 hours, absolutely guaranteed. Also, with the code, you'll be able to get 5% more coins on every transaction. Make sure you do click the link either in the description or down in the comment section below.
Where does the line kind of go when it comes to how many should be in each category? Because there is a lot of players this year where they are usable. They may not be the greatest in the game. Like, for instance, if we was to look at a Messi. Messi's an easy one in that S+. He changes games, his dribbling's great, his shooting's great, the pace has been upgraded, which is nice. But in realistic vibes, you look at somebody like an Mbappe. I know this is not the team of the season, but we know Mbappe is 15 times the player of everybody on this list. It just works. Whereas Drogba, totally different as well. We again know he is absolutely unbelievable. So there is different strikers per position. It's why maybe trying to break it down further. So kind of going into not necessarily even striker types, because there's no way that you're going to be able to do a video on hold up strikers, ranking them, and then kind of an Mbappe sort of striker, whatever it is, a complete striker or a striker winger basically, or a Messi who is very much close control, but your shooting is unbelievable. There's so many different builds, that's why there's different S pluses, and it's the same for fullbacks. A wing back, a normal left back, potentially a bit of a balance, maybe just somebody who is just crazy on the ball. There's mainly it's going to be the left back and the left wing back, that is the 2 positions, and then obviously right back, right wing back, because there's 2 ways to actually set up positions. You go with a midfield, you know you've got defensive mids, you've got box to box, you've got cams. That's predominantly the 3 positions that you've got, and it's what's in game. A CDM, a centre mid, and a cam. Whereas strikers, even though all of them say striker on them, you could pair Drogba, Sorloth, Füllkrug, Giroud. They're all very, very similar strikers. And even though I think even Drogba, I would always take a team of the season Mbappe over him. Would I take an R9 over him? It's a big debate on how the meta is. So it's just an interesting kind of discussion to let me know down below. How many in each category would you say? Because realistically, if I've got 20 in S and you think that's too many, I need to whittle it down to 10. If then I was to go Sam Kerr's an S, I'd go Chwinga's an S, Boniface is an S, Undav's an S, Werner, Pop, Morgan. If they were to drop into the A+, then all of the A+ would have to drop down to the A. And we know full well that, for instance, somebody like, who have we got here that would kind of be an A+? Say like we'll go, say like a Schürrle. She may not be an S, because I do think that definitely there is better strikers out there, but I don't know if I'd go an A or a B+ for her. I think she's better than that, meaning there is allowed to be multiple players across each ranking. So S+, yes, you want to obviously keep for the top of the top. They are normally the best of the best, and to be fair, when you look at positions, there's a lot of best of the best, even strikers. If I was to think of my top strikers from this list, obviously you're looking at a Haaland, you're looking at his team of the year, that's natural. I've included both of them. Maybe you could just get away with one because they are just one player. Mbappe goes up there, Messi goes up there. I think the team of the year R9 goes up there. both CR7s is easily up there. You're looking then at Cruyff. I don't think there's any arguments between him. Dalglish has got to be up there. Striker Vinny, maybe not an S+. Winger Vinny, 100%. Striker, I thought he was decent. I don't know if I'd go complete S+ as the striker version. I can already hear a comment. Why is Vinny in the S? As a striker, he's unbelievable on the wing. He's got like 200, 300 games for me. As a striker, is too weak. It's natural. It's a winger. That's the whole point. Henry, I think, goes up there. Ham definitely goes up there. And Di Natale. That's just kind of like a... There is no question about them strikers. Messi's one of the favourites. Mbappe's arguably, well, I don't even know if it's arguably, he is the best striker in the game. Drogba is up there. I don't want to put him in S. There is no way. Haaland, maybe you could argue the team of the year, because obviously you've got the area, you've got the power shot. The team of the season came with that rapid, which was just... It was a crazy phenomenon that they gave such a good striker, especially a finishing striker, even more pace. Like, that's just nuts. Then we kind of take away the two versions of Mbappe, Messi, and CR7. But 96 CR7's in there without a shadow. R9's team of the year, and same as Ham, is in there without a shadow of a doubt. Cruyff is unbelievable. You've got Henry, who has been electric this year. And the two additions from the greats of the game. Dalglish is unbelievable. 1 goal away from a 98. And Di Natale, who did get the upgrade. I'm 99% sure Italy did score 2, didn't they? Yeah, of course they scored 2. I'm checking the facts now. Yeah, they won 2-1. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure they scored 2. So Di Natale has got that upgrade as well. There's no question. That is solidified the S+. Is that too much? But I do think you could pick any version of each of them and be absolutely solid. I'd be happy with a Drogba and a Messi, a Drogba and Mbappe, a Ronaldo and a Ronaldo, Ham and Cruyff. Yes, Mbappe's number 1. I think Mbappe would always be like a Virgil. You are wanting him as that locked in spot. If you can get Mbappe team of the season, that's one striker you never have to change, unless Mbappe gets a better version, which naturally I think we're going to see in probably a couple of weeks. So then you've got to go and argue with all of these players. I would put any of them with him, and they would be absolutely number 1. The problem is do we then drop everybody down like Kolo Muani? I think is an unbelievable second option that you've got here. You look at it at a 96, the 98 pace. He's great in game. Maybe the playstyle pluses could have been better from the flair, but he's got the quick step, which is good for the pace. And then he's got the finesse shot, which is just an unbelievable playstyle plus in my eyes. He's extinct at 3.8. He's going to go up as well. Whether he gets the full upgrade, I don't know. It didn't look crazy in the match yesterday, but the day before, but he did do enough to be able to get that appearance. So more than likely we will see him again and again and again. Maybe we see, well, in fact, we're gonna probably see him if Giroud. I reckon Giroud starts in the 2 group stage games, but I imagine they'll bring on Kolo Muani as a substitute. I don't see Giroud doing 290 minutes because of Mbappe's injury. So there's already an interesting point with Kolo Muani. Are we anticipating the upgrade? I still think he is absolutely unbelievable. Also, alongside that, he's controlled lengthy as well, which we know full well is what the big factor of Drogba is this year. I would happily go with a Kolo Muani and an S+. If you've used any version of him of this year, he is crazy, crazy good. And yet we've still got Puskás to come as well. He, again, is another outstanding player, but nobody has reached that level, so we can't kind of go there. And then scanning through the rest, I think there's only one more S+ that I personally would go for, and that's got to be Leao. As a winger, he's fantastic, but for me, when I used his team of the season and used this version, now he's obviously getting, he got an appearance, so he's got the chemistry, didn't get the goal, so he is still on the appearance to be able to get the upgrade 1, then he just needs the 2 goals or 2 assists, which could then lead him to a 98 potential. He's just crazy good. In this game, he's brilliant. Chip shot plus, trickster, long ball pass, it'll do, but then the finesse alongside all of that pace, brilliant. Love the card. I think he's got to be in there as my last shout for an S+. If we were then to bring it a bit further down, this is where the debate happens, and I think where a lot of people will be up and down, and I think there's actually one more S+, but we'll get to that card in a little bit. I think Giroud is easily in the S+. When it comes to a lot of these bigger strikers, we start seeing the controlled lengthy. A lot of people are getting the PTSD of kind of Peter Cech last year, and also Milinkovic-Savic in the midfield. it runs wild. And I'm hoping they cap it a little bit, because as much as I absolutely love having that controlled lengthy striker, Czech was so broken that literally for the final month and a bit of the game, that is all I saw. If it wasn't a 99 Mbappe, Ronaldo, Haaland or Neymar, it was Peter Cech. And by the end of it, it was just Peter Cech, because he was unstoppable. So he made the game one-dimensional, whereas then having all of these cards would be no point. You'd have your Mbappe, Messi, R9, Ronaldo, Haaland, but then Cruyff drops down one, Dalglish drops down one, because they won't be able to keep up with a completely broken card. I do think Drogba's card is definitely in the S, the Gazo still. I think with the upgrade for the 95, as much as it's not necessarily like a crazy upgrade, the extra playstyle plus the technical on him is going to add a good factor, and I think this card now is dropping down a little bit. We look at Chwinga, unbelievable player. Now, she is more of a super sub for me rather than anything, but the Rapid Plus moves really, really well. And I think, or is it the Quick Step that she's got? I thought she had Rapid Plus. Well, I'll be damned. I thought she had Rapid. Okay, fair enough. But regardless, she's incredible. That was literally about 5 minutes of me updating FIFA for that. But she has got the Quick Step, so fair enough, I suppose. I really thought she had the Rapid. But she's still incredible nonetheless. Then we obviously move on. I do think Sammy Kerr dropped down from the S Plus now, in my opinion. She's kind of little bit on the lower side in comparison to the top of the top, and by all means trying to keep everybody on that sort of level. We then also have the likes of Schick, Vlahovic. As much as I really expected these players to be on that next level, they really just didn't, to be honest. Vlahovic is coming in at 147. Now, the only thing that I do have to say with any make your marks, with Path to Glories, is I can only speak on what they are now. If for however reason, whatever reason, Czech Republic or Serbia managed to go semi-final, final before the next ranking of the striker list, and we see a Vlahovic at 97, there's no way that I could know that. Like, yes, I can obviously put a little bit of a spin on whether they are going through or what the numbers are looking like from their previous matches, and both of them have lost, so that kind of already puts it in perspective with them. But in terms of right now, I just don't think they're really on that category of trying to win anything. Now, they both are okay players. I'd probably, for me, go with Vlahovic over Schick. I think Schick's body type, and just Schick in general, didn't really translate that well, in my opinion. Whereas like someone like Füllkrug, I think did really well. Same as Undav, they both kind of got that good upgrade. Strange how they're both German, but I mean, they both worked really, really well on this upgrade. And normally you don't get that many players that have not got cards, like a progression of cards, like how Salah's got like 6 different versions. We see someone like a CR7 with multiple, Mbappe with multiple. You kind of get used to their body type and kind of bringing them in. Whereas you get players like Victor that just come out of the blue. He's got like 1 or 2 cards and bang, you've got a 94. Just works really, really well. Now, I do know with Undav, he has had his fair share of cards as well. He's got a player of the month twice. He's got himself 2 informs as well, but they're cards that you're not really using. How many people have used that 88 Bundesliga player of the month for more than 10 games? Unless you are rocking literally a Bundesliga squad that is still not the best striker that you can get, I guarantee not using him. Whereas Füllkrug, he's had 1 inform and then bang to a 94. It's a beautiful card. I think it's set up really nicely, and it most definitely does have a little bit going for him. When we look at a few of the other ladies, we've obviously got Pajor and Schürrle. I do think now when we're looking at all of these, they're kind of in that bottom sort of category, in my opinion. They've got that flair of down the wing, maybe a little bit quicker. Body type wise is going to be more on the agile side rather than necessarily going for strength, which it always works, but they are bog standard as it is now anyway. Same with Shaw, to be honest. There's only one other female that I think, other than maybe Alex Morgan, I think she's still incredible in game. And I do think, in fact, there's 2, but Smith is crazy good. Now, she's the only one I would potentially go into the S+, because she is absolutely nuts in this game. If you have tried her, you know full well how good she truly is. I do think she's considerably better than the Team of the Year, but there is still only a few bits between it. For me, I do think that the 97 definitely came up clutch. The Team of the Season Plus helps with the chemistry. She's got the Finesse Shot Plus, which is just a great added bonus. 4-5 with great pace, just an unbelievable player. Now Drogba's out, I do think Sorloth drops down into the Giroud category. He's definitely been overshadowed. I think because he was kind of that first one, I want to say before Giroud as well, where we got a lengthy player that really dominated in and behind. Once we got Drogba, you could definitely tell that Drogba was the better card. Same with Giroud. I think there's arguments. If you like Drogba, you'll like Giroud as well. He's very similar in his build. He's obviously got himself the aerial and a lovely power shot, whereas I think Drogba with the technical just adds a different value to him. Whereas Giroud's got the acrobatic. As much as you can utilize that playstyle plus in many different ways, I just don't think it's enough in my opinion. Then we've obviously got a lot of the kind of the lower end. I think Antonio puts himself into the A+. I don't think there's any questions with him. He's kind of that cheap beast. He's going to get you down a wing, but there's not really an all-round sort of performance from him. And again, with the Copa Americas, we don't know anything yet. We've got 2 more days from this video, or 1 more day from the video release for the Copa America to actually start. So we don't even know who's in form, who's out of form, what's the team shaping up like. We have no data, at least with the Euros. We've done week 1 now. We're going into week 2. We can kind of see how the first performances are going. Balotelli, as painful as it is, I do think he's a great card, but he is definitely dropping down now, especially when we're looking at the levels of strikers we got around him. If he was to have the better playstyle pluses, I think he'd be up there. But with just the natural ability he's got, he's got to be one lower, unfortunately. Boniface is an easy yes. I think as a bulky hold-up striker, incredible. There's not too much better that do it like that. Correa, I like him personally on the wing, very much like Vinny. As a winger, I'd probably go into the S. Maybe even... No, you wouldn't go S+. With the amount of wingers we've got now, I think he's most definitely going down into the S. But as a striker, again like Vinny, I just think he's too weak. He just doesn't work the strikers as well as we did previously. Borgia's going to be like Antonio. You've got obviously the crazy amount of pace, but the end product is just naturally just a little bit of shooting. He's got himself no actual pace in playstyle plus, which would have made this card a little bit better for a wing position. But as a striker, I think he's just very, very standard. Jonathan David, probably about the same, to be fair. He's, again, another one that should be better. I felt like this year he's just not had the instinct compared to what we've seen in previous years with how many cards he managed to get. He needs to be better. De Jong, I'd go more into the A now. He's kind of losing it like Sorloth. He's kind of that very, very cheap sort of lengthy player. No, maybe we go A+. I think I'm being a bit harsh with him there. Di Maria, easy S. Winger-wise, he's a kind of player that goes across the board, which is always nice. You're going to need them sort of players, mainly for a super sub. If you've already got an Mbappe, a Messi, a Saka, a Vinny on left, right wing strikers, maybe you don't want to necessarily put him as a starter, but as a super sub, if an injury happens, a red card happens, or just want to change it up, try him out, then you can obviously put him literally across the board. Cam, centre forward, striker, left wing, right wing, he could do all the positions, which I think is a big quality of the card. You then got Lauren James, I think he's now in more of a standard S more than anything. Katoto kind of dropped down in my opinion. Lewandowski is a funny one because when we look at the difference between like a Lewandowski and a Kane, they are both, it's funny because they are both very similar strikers in terms of when they start the game, pace is just nowhere. Shooting is unbelievable. They always have a crazy amount of shooting. But then we want to get to the team of the season because we know full well with upgrades comes more pace. Now obviously Lewandowski did get the rapid plus, but I just think he's just a bit too... It's blocky on the ball. He's very, very one-dimensional. And unfortunately, I don't play like that, so I can't go any more than an A+, whereas I think Harry Kane feels so much more fluid on the ball, and I think they got that card absolutely right, and it's what they should have Lewandowski as well, because normally when we get a Dowski card is... He's unbelievable. He's 97, he's 98. He has got the ball at his feet and he can do anything. When he's in that team of the season, the higher foot is a shapeshifter. He's literally the guy, especially in the Bayern Munich team. Now going into Barca, we kind of have a difference there. But Kane has become that guy with him. He was great at Spurs for having that team of the season card. It's even better now and he's a 97 to show for it. We have a couple more of your make your marks. We have Sesko. Unbelievable striker. I think he's very, very much a one to watch in this. I know In fact, I don't know. How did they perform? But we will have a look. I think it's Slovenia. Actually drawing to Denmark 1-1. So there's a big shot in there because England's got the 3 points. Denmark and obviously Slovenia have got 1 point apiece. Serbia with none. There's a potential there, so that'd be very interesting to see nonetheless, but a very good striker going forward. He's got the technical, he's got the aerial plus, and then he's got a lovely finesse shot as well. For me, that's the perfect striking playstyle pluses. Aerial is absolutely broken in itself, which is clear because they've basically told pros in the next tournament, you cannot use anybody as a striker with an aerial plus, so just information needing to know. Finesse has always been one of my favourites, and then a technical, as much as I prefer the rapid, as long as he's got a pace one, that's absolutely fine. Mixed with then the lengthy attributes that you can get, I think is an absolute must, and the stats already. Nearly maxed pace, incredible shooting, passing could do with some work, but as a striker, it's not necessarily my biggest gripe, and then the physicality of him just needs that bit of aggression, and then maybe a little bit more balance. You could be looking at there, and you've got yourself an absolute ball winner that could potentially go up as well. I believe he did manage to make his first debut, so obviously then we could see maybe a couple of goals, and then if we get to the 5 appearances, that's going to be the bit that we're like, okay, he could at least get the chemistry in a 96. Whether they get the 97, I think that's a really good achievement for them. I don't know if they're, well, obviously everybody wants to win the Euros, but are they citing themselves as a final contenders, or would they be happy with around a 16 or even a cheeky quarters finish? It would be an interesting one to see. Ivan Toney. Now, great SBC. I think the card is good. I'd put him at a low-end S in my opinion. I don't think he's necessarily the craziest striker that we've got. And the big thing with him as well is he's probably not getting an upgrade. And that's annoying to see because you've got an English striker, 93. Should be a better card maybe. I do think Gula coming out as 95, knowing that he's not going to get an upgrade because full well he's the third string striker because you've got Kane, you've got Watkins, then you've got Toney. You've even got Bowen who is playing on the right wing a little bit, but he is also, or can be, a striker. I'd imagine it would be Kane, Watkins, and then Toney. Kane's always going to be playing, and it's going to be very rare for him to drop off, meaning Watkins is going to get very limited game time, meaning that Toney either needs to, I say hope, but needs to hope of an injury, basically, to get him on the pitch. I don't feel like he'll get on any other way. If he doesn't come on Thursday, so on the day of this video, in fact, he is then not going to get, he's not going to get the second upgrade unless England get all the way to the final and he plays in every single game. So that's an interesting one. And then the +2 or goals or assists, it's another one. If he's not necessarily playing major minutes, is he really going to get there? So I think he's a good card, but it's a little bit underwhelming for the rating that he could have been. I think if it was a 95, he'd have solidified him definitely into the S. I think he's just hanging on at the moment until we get the next batch of Make Your Marks. Forlan is easily in there. Luis Hernandez is easily in there. And I think Suker, as much as I do like the striker, I think he's very good. I feel like I'm pushing an agenda on him because he was really good as a base striker. Right now, I think if he was controlled lengthy, I'd consider going into the S, but I think he's more of an S plus sort of striker now, if I'm being really brutal with him. I think Martial goes in the S. Alvarez is obviously in there as well. Very good upgrades for the pair of them. SBC from one, and then the Path to Glory for the Copa America. Good favourites in Argentina as well. It's the one thing that you've always got to consider with pricing a player as well, because you're obviously going to see a Leao who's going to potentially go relatively far. Kolomoane is going to be the same. We then see the likes of Saka. We see some of the German lads. They're going to be priced way more up, so you can't even go heavily off if the price is more efficient for what you're paying. One to actually do that, and I do think is unbelievable and is unfortunate that he got absolutely shot by luck, is Crespo. He's been gone for literally the last week. Why did we only have 6 days to complete him? He's a brilliant striker, a very, very good striker. And I think, yes, you've got loads that can compare, but when you're looking at him at 1.6 mil and he was there for literally a week, no, there's so many cards of so much expense. Why was he there for a week when the Copa America doesn't even start until the 21st? at least put the SBC like hours before the first Argentinian game, and that at least gives you 2 weeks to be able to get him done. A week is just not enough for a 1.5 million SBC when you currently could be in a Drogba grind, any of the make your marks or path to glories. Garnacho's got a 600k card. You got 400k for, or is it the other way around? No, you've got Xavi Simons as a couple of 100k, and then the multiple of players that are left as well. I just think that SBC was absolutely criminal, but the player itself, unfortunately, was actually relatively decent. I think Openda would go down a little bit. Dybala is an easy S. How many cards have we got left? R9 and Ham. I do put them up there still, to be honest. I think they are... Maybe Ham is a little bit less, and I think that's just going a bit biased with R9, because I know body type wise, R9 is unbelievable. Now, the one playstyle plus is the only factor where I'm like, okay, he's got the quick step, which at least gives him some pace, but it is a really fine line between going into the A+, whereas I think Ham has been there as a base version for quite some time. R9 is just carrying himself alongside that unique body type. Pop is an easy option there, to be honest. I don't think anybody's arguing with that. Griezmann is arguably up into the S+. Now, we have got a considerable amount of players, so I want to see the reaction. Is any of them S players due to go up in the S+, and vice versa? Any S+ want to come down? Let me know. Watkins is just bog standard really now. Maybe, yes, if you've got some of the Evos, that's the only thing I can't really justify with them is what Evos do you actually have, because you could have had a 96 Watkins if you got him red in one of the weeks that we've actually managed to get the Champions Corner 1, 2 and 3 and a Watkins red, but whether you would have chosen him or gone with somebody else if you've got a higher rated, that's fair enough. And Kunku would be a high S+. Oshiman, as much as I like the card, I don't think he's much more than an A+ either. I don't know if I'd go S. I think I'd definitely prefer Giroud. I thought he was a little bit of a letdown, but at the same time, he came out with Dybala, who was unbelievable. He came out with Martinez, who is unbelievable. And also Leao, who's technically a left wing, but he is a striker as well. So it's kind of like the Xavi Simons of the CAM Bundesliga. You had Musiala, you had Wirtz, you had Royce. Then you had the end of an era Royce as well. So there's just no winning. You have 4 players that are just above you. And same with Oshiman. Dybala's better, Martinez is better, Leao's better. There's not a lot he can do in that one. I think Sonny Baby's gone a bit quiet. Maybe we do see something in the shapeshifter or footies, which would be nice. But at the moment, I think he's just hanging on with the S. Still a very good card. I don't think there's any complaints with him. He can finish a ball like anybody. Joselu. Now, I don't think the card is that good, in my opinion. I think he's definitely a nice upgrade in terms of dynamic, in terms of actual winning the Champions League. Phenomenal. The pricing on him, brilliant. 217,000 for him, never going to complain. I think that is a wonderful, wonderful card on the base value of what he was for and what it is for. But as a card itself, I think he's very much just a standard upgrade. He has obviously got the controlled lengthy, but I don't think he's better than Giroud. Sorloth's better than him. He's got a few tricks up his sleeve, but I do know that a lot of people will like him. I will put him at the bottom of that S, and he's very close to going the A+ if people didn't shout at me. Rooney, I think, is now an A+, same as Raul. They are arguably incredible icons, but they need an upgrade now. There's no way that you could put them against any of the absolute top of the team of the season. They've been out for so long. There is some icons that you can obviously do that with. I think Butra goes up there. Stoichkov is a funny one because I think he is just crazy, crazy good. But with now the strikers that we've got, I think it's very much in the turn to drop down a little bit. Cantona can drop down with the rest of them. To be honest, I'm lucky that I'm not putting him in A. I thought he was awful. In terms of actually on the ball, I really didn't rate him one bit for the price that I paid. Firmino would be very much in that kind of like level A+ as a striker. As a cam, I'd probably be looking at more of an S, just so you know. Eusebio's easily an S still. He's still a game changer. I think he has the same option as R9 is. In terms of his in-game performance, there's no question on it. When it comes to the upgrade that's needed, that is kind of the big debate. And I was hoping we do see him as a greats of the game because that could be really nice. We then have like the R9 team of the year, which is always still pretty good anyway. You've then got Puskás coming, Cruyff's got a Gazo, and then we could have a Eusebio at like a 96, 97 as well. Lacazette, A little bit disappointing this year, not going to lie. Werner in himself, I think he's dropped down a bit, but to be fair, the card has held on really well. You could still play with him and be absolutely fine, but I do think there's better out there if you wanted to go and buy somebody. He's just very good for the SBC price that you actually got. Trossard, I think, is decent enough for an S, and Lukaku, I'd go the same. As much as Lukaku is just... He's just Lukaku. There's no more explaining than that. In-game is a lot better. You don't take the real life for kind of how he plays, but when he plays in a game, it's much, much better. So that's going to be my list for the strikers. Let me know down below, like I say, any difference that you'd like to see. Like I said, there's a lot of S category because there's just a lot of good strikers. I've tried to whittle down the S plus as much as possible. Let me know if you appreciate it and if there's anything you'd do differently. Peace.